Today, I am joined by the incredibly talented and beyond inspiring Gillian Jackson Han. Jill is an incredible actress, singer, and dancer. She has performed professionally all around the United States, and she is currently a Zoe and Alana cover on the tour of my favorite musical, Dear Evan Hansen. Thank you so much, Jill, for joining me on the Inspiration Show. It's such an honor to have you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Alison.
Do I have your permission to post this episode of the Inspiration Show on social media?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. So, when did you discover that you had a passion for singing and theater?
Um, so I actually the spiel that I give is that I was always a choir kid. I was singing in choirs since I could talk, basically. So from like preschool through all the way through college, I've been singing in chorus. And at some point in my early education, I decided that I wanted to sing more. And when you want to sing more, what's the thing that you can do? Musical theater. So I started doing that, realized I loved it, and I loved acting as much as I loved singing. And it just became a part of my life that way. And I've been doing it ever since.
That's so special. I love how you started when you were so little, and now looking back on your journey and all the shows you've been a part of and all the roles you've stepped into and where you are now, it's so special to see what theater does to a person and how it takes you on this journey that's so timeless.
Yeah, it's very special.
So, what inspired you to become a performer, and who has been an inspiration of yours throughout your career?
So I was thinking about this question. I am not sure I have uh, an answer for throughout my entire life. I think it changes depending on what I'm doing. Um, I feel sort of kinship and pride in all of the Asian actors and actresses that have sort of come before me. Uh, it's not a field that has a lot of roles written for people that look like us necessarily. So it's very cool when I get to see someone thrive who looks like me or looks like my dad or my family. So at the moment, it's Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh, of course. Um, and I don't know, vocally, I guess Kelly O'Hara was always a big inspiration for me. I got to see her in South Pacific at Lincoln Center, and that sort of changed my life. Um, and I don't know. That's my answer right now.
Yeah, I love that. It's the greatest feeling in the world, and speaking from personal experience, to see yourself represented on stage, to see someone who looks like you or someone that shares the same characteristics and personality. It's so special when you're watching a character and you're just, chilling back, relaxing, and you're like, hey, that's a lot like me. And when you think about it and get to see the storyline and the character development throughout the show, it's so special to see yourself represented on stage.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
can you take us back to the first time that you experienced theater and how you were feeling at the time?
Sure. I mean, I don't know about the first time I experienced theater, but my first like transformative theater going experience was, I think I saw the first national tour of Beauty and the Beast. And for a very young child, the magic of Broadway, of Disney, all of it kind of came together in one um, performance, and that sort of set my heart aflame for like having the love of live theater. And so that was the first big thing for me. And then a couple years later, I got to see South Pacific. I saw people that looked like me and sounded like me, and I got much more serious about my desire to do theater. And South Pacific also just they I love classic musical theater and golden age. Um, and that was the first time I saw a uh, very socially challenging show kind of put on stage, and I thought, oh wow, theater can really actually make a difference and affect people's lives. So between those two shows, I found a passion and drive with
I
with
love
my
it.
theatrical journey. Yeah.
And just to talk about the impact that theater has on people, like there's no words to describe the way you feel when you're watching a show. It's just the most special feeling in the world.
I agree.
So you were a musical theater student at Baldwin Wallace University and you received your bachelor's in music in May 2019. What was your experience like studying there, and how do you feel that it has impacted you and shaped you into the performer that you are today?
I the first thing I always say is that the school really toughened me up. I came in very not when I started school. I certainly didn't have like the thick skin that I needed in order to start my career in this industry because it is a hard one and it is a trying journey. um, so the school first and foremost gave me a very um, thick skin, uh, and I am very grateful for that. I will also say that I became a very competent musician and singer and vocalist at Baldwin Wallace. I learned how to sing a lot of material that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise um, through my various extraordinary voice teachers. Um, yeah, I would say those are the big two for me.
That's awesome. It's so special how when you attend a school, you see yourself being educated and learning things that you never thought you would learn or doing things that you'd never be able to do. And it's amazing how you gather that knowledge. I always love to share this analogy on the show. My dad has a toolbox analogy, and he says when you go throughout your journey of life or whatever you're doing, you gather different tools. And when you think of yourself as a toolbox, you get to use all those tools that you never thought you'd have. And when you get to use them, and especially as a performer, it's so special and to see how you can excel using those tools.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you've heard of the actor's toolbox, I'm sure, as an
Yep.
actor yourself, and it's very true. And I always think that um, a huge part of the actor's toolbox is actually just like existing and living life because there's no better training than just being a human being for getting a new script.
Yeah, there's this quote that I heard and it completely changed my perspective on acting. It was acting is behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. And I never thought of it, from that like perspective. I just thought of acting as, stepping into a character and being someone you're not. And when you're behaving truthfully under things that like wouldn't really happen, but they happen in a script, it's
Yeah,
so cool to see how you get to bring that to life.
totally, absolutely, yeah, very true.
So you are currently a Zoe and Alana cover on the tour of my favorite musical, Dear Evan Hansen. Can you
Woo.
share a little bit of your DEH journey leading up to this point?
Sure, I have a long Dear Evan Hansen journey actually, and
Love it.
I made an Instagram post about it, uh, like over the summer when I had just started with the tour. Um, it's so, and my dad actually the other day he sent me a photo of when I had a master class with Justin and Benj, Pasek and Paul,
Aw,
when I was like, I think I was 17 years old or something. So
wow.
yeah, I think it's because they were in town doing the out of town tryout for Dear Evan Hansen at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., which is where I grew up. And I got to see the show with the very original cast, Ben Platt, before he had done much else. With Laura, with Crystalline was not in it yet, uh, and so much of the original cast. But it was so cool in such a cool small environment before the show blew up and won Tonys and all that good stuff. Um, so that's kind of where it started. In 2015, I think 2015, 2016, something like that, and I so it started there. I had a master class with Justin and Bench. It had nothing to do with how I got cast or anything like that. I certainly wasn't ready to be in the show at that point in time. Um, but that's where I like to say that it started just like a fun tidbit for my personal journey. But I started auditioning right after college in 2019. And after COVID, I was called back in. During COVID, I was called in. And then after COVID, I was called in again. And it took about 2 months total for me to go through all of my auditions, maybe a month and a half. And then a couple months later, I got a call and they said, you got to be in New York in 10 days to start rehearsals. And I said, okay. And here we are.
The greatest journeys, the Dear Evan Hansen journeys are my favorite. I love them. So you
Does
portray.
mine rank above in some of the best ones?
They're yes, definitely. They're all so different because a lot of the guys they do Evan Jared Connor or they do two of them. So to hear how like they went in for this role and booked this role or like
Yeah.
it's amazing and especially with this show because like we both I can speak for both of us so when I say we know it like the back of our hands to see and hear the different journeys it's so special because everyone's given the same script but it's a different journey of how they got there and how they play the characters and it's so special to see it.
Yeah, it's really fun to see it on stage too because everyone has their own take, um, and everyone has their own input. Just the same with anything else, but it's always fun when we know each other and we get to see what everyone brings. And I'm so lucky. I'm just in such talented company. It makes me feel so grateful and lucky. So
I love you all so much. You portray both Zoe Murphy and Alana Beck when performing the show. What is it like juggling these two incredible characters? Which character do you feel best represents you, and what do you do to get into character?
sure. Um, okay, part one of that question was was
What's it like juggling these two characters?
yeah, okay. So luckily, I mean, some shows with huge ensembles, you'll have covers that take on like 5, 6, 7 different tracks, and they're all on stage dancing at the same time. My girls do not have to do that. My
Yeah.
girls are rarely ever on stage together, and there's only two of them. So that is really nice. They do speak a lot and sing a decent amount, so that can be a challenge. But it was never as far as like the difficulty in terms of like being an understudy and being a standby. uh it's not it could be a lot harder, um but because both of these girls are so emotional and so emotionally available and kind of deeply sad characters, with a lot of internal struggle, they are exhausting. I am so tired after every performance of either of these roles. So um, that's for sure. That's for sure. They're both very tiring.
Yep.
um, I guess in terms of like, I would say like in terms of relating to a character more, I would probably say Zoe. Um, but I do, but as I've gotten to play both of them more and more, I find I can relate to both of them in different ways. It's more just in terms of expression. Um, Internally, I felt both of what they have felt. Maybe not exactly, but I can. I'm enough of an actor to be able to say I know how they feel, and um, and understand their struggles. Uh, but in terms of expression and how they show their emotions and what they say, I would say I relate to Zoe a little bit more. Um, I have little playlists for both of them.
Everyone says playlists. Yes,
Yeah,
everyone
pretty
says that.
common thing. Yeah, we have music that we listen to that like we think each girl would listen to or each character would listen to, and I don't um I don't listen to it every time, but sometimes if I'm feeling particularly drawn out, I will do that. Um, I also it also for a lot of people and myself included, once we put on the costume, there's a sense of being dropped in a certain way, and these girls are both they wear so much jewelry.
Yeah.
And Zoe wear so much jewelry. You know what? I actually did this when I was like in middle school and early high school too. I wore a lot of like dangly jewelry and things. Um, so I like that. I like that. Oh, like I did that too. Um, but for me, like their hairstyles are very like once my hair is in that Alana braid, there she is, and I throw on those glasses, she's there. And for Zoe, like once my hair is pinned back just like that, and I have her little friendship bracelet on, I'm like, she's here, and that helps me a lot putting on that costume. So yeah, those are my
I
little
love it. And I
petty.
have to, yes, I have to ask, because this is actually my favorite question to ask the cast.
Okay.
What is your backstories for the story? Because I know when you did your takeover, David said you have a little backstory when you enter the Murphy house as Alana. But I have to ask, because with as we've seen, with Zoe and Connor and Evan, they kind of have their backstory already built for them. But for Alana and Jared, it's not so much. So I'd
Yeah,
love to hear your take on that. And I'll share some others with you because I love to see the other reactions.
sure. Well, the thing we talk about a lot with this show is that it's taking place in a very kind of affluent, socioeconomically advantaged neighborhood and community, um, and the Hansens and Alana are at the most at the least advantaged place of the characters that we see. So that has gone a lot into my creation of Miss Beck.
Respect.
um, yes, Miss Beck. You know she's gonna start being called Miss Beck immediately after college. So I don't know. I think that's a big part of it. I think she and a lot of it. I think you can sort of understand from context. There's not a ton of building that I've had to do because we don't see her parents. I don't have to justify her being adopted or being like. There's not a ton of I can sort of create my own story. But what I will say is I think that she has a lot of she's had a lot of childhood struggles. She's probably someone who is overlooked for a number of reasons and has to make up for it in her own way, primarily in context through the Connor Project. And what I actually look forward to most with Alana is I like to imagine her future and her life beyond this because I think she'll get a great scholarship and go to a school where people understand her and see her, and she'll explore herself in a number of different ways and finally like come into her own outside of school. I think that's really what I look forward to for her, and that is the best way for me to stay joyful when I'm playing this deeply, deeply like devastating character. is that like, oh look, is setting herself up in one way or another for a beautiful life, and she will get through it, and as will Zoe, and I hope Evan will too. So
Yes, Miss Beck, get it.
am I
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And another one of my favorite things to talk about, the beauty of Evan Hansen, but overall the beauty of live theater, going off on a tangent here, going on mid-show. Let's talk about it because it doesn't happen that much on like Broadway and but on tour it's meant to happen. I mean, I heard Reese went on right after Waving, and it's craziness because the cast, which normally takes 20 minutes to put on, took 10 with some hair dryers, re-signing Connor. You went
Yeah.
on mid-show for, I think it was Alana.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to hear about that
Yeah.
craziness, that
Yes,
whirlwind?
that craziness.
So I had never done a mid-show swing on. This was my first time ever. Um, I started. I sat down in my dressing room, and the show started. And usually, like once the show, because I've had really quick turnarounds, like under 30 minutes, 20 minutes, like notice like that. And usually, once I hear the phone ring, I'm like, okay, I'm set, I'm good.
Yeah, like we heard off camera for yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We get through a map. I know I'm set. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm chilling. And this time I think it was right after Waving, or maybe the middle of Waving through a window or something. One of our stage managers came in and said, "Hey," and my headphones were in. I had no idea what was going on. She had to like tap me on the shoulder. I was like, "What's up?" And she said, "We're gonna start getting you ready." And I was like, "For what?" And she was like, "Well, your principal feels sick, and you're gonna have to you're taking over." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Should have warmed up a little bit more. But it's okay. We'll make it work. And we kind of just ran. They brought all. So we usually understudies go into their principal's dressing rooms when they're on. In this scenario, they do not. Everybody, wardrobe, hair if we need it, stage management, they will all come to your dressing room and make sure that you have everything you need as where you are sat. And so that's what they did. They brought in my costumes. I changed really quickly. I think Valeria came in and braided my hair really quickly. No, she was on stage. Someone else did. Someone in the cast braided my hair for me. And we got ready super quickly. And Alana has 3 scenes kind of every other scene back to back in the beginning, then a nice long break. So Mickey did the first, she did waving, and then the next scene after that. And then I somehow made it just in time in my next costume for that next entrance.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
very, very swiftly, I walked on stage and we did the three-way chat with Evan, Jared, and Alana. And we got through it. We did it. And it was very seamless. I will say, I'm pretty sure the audience was like, they're introducing us to another character. I don't think they realized I was the same character until intermission when they made the announcement that I had taken over for Mickey.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very exciting and
Oh my
and
goodness.
it worked out. So, that's good.
That's crazy. I could not imagine what was running through your head, because you had like not even an intermission to get ready. Like the
Right.
show
Well,
was still happening.
I think because I'm such an anxious person and performer, even though I've been doing this show for so long, for a long time, once I got the call, I would do this thing where I would go through my script on my phone and just like read through the lines and be like, okay, yes, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I know where to change. I know what to sing. I know where to stand. I'm all good. And in that moment, I did not have the time. So it was a very good moment for me to be like, oh, calm down. You know how to do this. You have done this before so many times. You're going to be fine. And I was like, okay, that was a really nice moment for me to just be like, oh, I have this under control. I know how to do it. And that was a nice moment for me. So
I'm sure you killed it. So what is your favorite part and most challenging part about portraying Miss Beck and Zoe? We're gonna call her Miss Beck now. I like that.
Favorite parts. Well, both of them, as we've talked about, are very emotional characters and expressive characters, which I do really love. They both have different moments to be very emotionally vulnerable, and um, uh, and that's always really fun. I love that both of them get to be so angry because I as a human being don't really feel like I get to express that level of anger. Just maybe to myself and to my best friends, but like to be on stage and just let it all out is such a nice feeling. As sad as Requiem is, it's also a very angry song. She's so hurt and she's so mad. And Good For You was obviously just so angry. So that's really cool. That's really fun. I also love singing duets. So singing Only Us, even though it's not like an amazing, it's not the most memorable or um, biggest song in the show. I always love singing duets, and I love singing with these boys that I get to sing it with. Um, so that's always nice. And top of Act Two, where Alana is listing off her job titles, that for so long was like terrifying to me.
It's a lot.
And you start Act Two and you want to get them focused. It is like you like come back, and so there's a lot of pressure for me in that scene. And for a long time, I dreaded it, and it still makes me nervous, but I do really enjoy doing that now. So there you go. That's my answer for those girls.
Love it. Can you share with us your favorite song and scene from the show? It's a rough
Ooh,
one.
that I perform or just generally in the show?
Generally, whatever you want.
People ask me, are you tired of the songs yet? And I'm like, no,
No.
I really do still love them. It's very accessible musical theater. It's not super heightened or like complex. I mean, it is complex music when you really dig into it, but it's also very like digestible for everybody. And I do. It's the same thing with like, I don't know. I love that about this music in this show. I would say I never get tired of waving. I never get tired of watching the different interpretations of For Forever, or the way these boys like break my heart when they sing Words Fail to Us. It never gets old. So Big So Small still makes me weep
Every time.
when I watch it. I avoid watching Act Two a lot too often because it really opens you up.
Heart wrencher.
Yeah, 100%. And I still have a very like soft spot in my heart for To Break in a Glove. I really do like that
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. Like when you hear, I mean, this is just from my personal opinions and like not to get bashed for it, but when you listen to it on the Spotify cast album, it's good. It hits, but
Right.
it hits different when it's live.
I agree. In context, in the show, it's like we love a good dad moment, and I think that it's such an important. We don't talk about it too much because we don't get a lot of scene time with Larry, but like the importance of him having a father figure in that moment. I mean, just like I just think it
So
slaps.
good.
And our Larry John Hemphill is out. He's unbelievable. He's so good, and he's such a good actor and storyteller. And I, being on stage with him is so cool. It makes me feel like a better actor. He's phenomenal. So I never get sick of that song either.
I
Um, Good for you and Sincerely Me. I probably objectively like they're such bangers that it's like I
They
never.
are.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I just named every song in the show. I
No,
just
no, I'm the exact same. I cannot pick a favorite. I can't pick a favorite act. I can't pick a favorite song. I can't pick a favorite character. It's all just so good and it's iconic.
it's so well written and I never get tired of it. So thank you. My answer is all of them. I love all of them.
I always tell people like I've seen it so much, like I can't even count how many times I've seen it. People are like, you don't get sick of it? And I'm like, no, never.
I don't know how I felt about Waitress. I never really got sick. I saw it
Yes.
so many times and I never got sick of it. I love Waitress. So yeah.
So good.
And now that I'm in this show, I also am not I won't get sick of it either. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's my
So
answers.
what do you enjoy most about doing the show and touring with the show?
I mean, I think that every experience is made by the people around you and in
Best
life.
cast.
Yeah, in life and in theater and in the industry. I just think generally if you're with good people, like what makes that's what makes the experience. So the people that I've met here have been extraordinary. Valeria is my partner in crime, and like I couldn't, we have been so supportive and helpful to each other, and I could not do it without her. So that's been amazing. Um, I've also learned so much. This is kind of like my first really big job, and it's been very cool to meet all these people who have done such incredible things and learn from them, learn by talking to them or just by watching them has been such a pleasure and an honor. And our stage management team is amazing. Our crew is fantastic. Anyway, the people always. Also getting to travel and go to such cool places and perform at these iconic, beautiful theaters is so cool. I got to, for me personally, I grew up in DC, and I grew up seeing shows at the Kennedy Center. So to perform at the Kennedy Center finally and take a bow there, do a curtain call there. I mean, that was just what an amazing moment in my career that I'll never forget. And getting to go home for a month also was just so fun. Anyway, traveling is great. Seeing people is great. My cast is great. And yeah,
Yeah. Just love everything. And I have to ask, do you feel that like you get different reactions from the different people around the world in the different states or cities, places you go to?
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. This show, for a couple different reasons, is more uh, relatable for different audiences. Um, Ultimately, it relates to everyone in some way because it's a story of a mother and a son, um, and finding connection. So that is ultimately everybody can find something to relate to. But I think that there are definitely aspects of it that are more approachable to different demographics and different cities based on culture, uh, based on like social dynamics, and yeah. So for sure we get different reactions everywhere.
It's also super cool, like speaking from personal experience, even like with you guys, touring and getting different reactions from different places, you also get different reactions for people with different ages. Because I know when I first saw the show in Toronto when I was 11, I went like because it's theater and I just love theater and making a little pun here. But if I could tell her as like my 11-year-old self now, seeing it when I was 14 on Broadway and, the way that it hit me, going into my first year of high school and then going to be seeing it in Buffalo at the age of 15 and then like after I finished my last year of high school, same script but different places, same show but different awesome casts, but it's going to hit different and it impacts you differently and it inspires you differently even though it's the same show, and it's just so special what the show does and what theater in general does.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great point. That the age of our general audience also changes the reactions that we get. So that make yeah, totally true. And I
So
can't believe I forgot this. I think objectively my favorite song in the show is If I Could Tell Her. I don't know why I didn't say
so
that.
good.
It's like I think because it's such a strange point in the show to have that
Yeah.
sort of slow ballad, but like I think I think that of all, if I just laid them out, I think I would consistently say If I Could Tell Her is my favorite song. So
I love that. And that brings me back. I forgot to ask because I love getting all the different like opinions and I'd love for you to weigh in on it. Hardest song to sing in the show for you.
song to sing.
Yeah, they're all super high, they're all super crazy. So,
Um, the end of You Will Be Found as Alana is so hard. It is so high. It is so screamy. And generally it comes out and it sounds good or at least passable, but like it is hard. You have to be very grounded and have a very good sense of um like your own personal vocal agility and uh yeah, I would say the end of You'll Be Found is incredibly hard, but they all have their challenges, but just that ensemble part with You'll
yeah.
Be Found is
Because I was talking to Val about it when she was on the show. We were talking about singing the different harmonies because I know I love your guys' call sheets. I love them. And because really, Zoe and Alana only have, I want to say, what, one, two scenes together when they're on stage at the same time?
yeah, we're on stage. You Will Be Found in Waving, and then the scenes would be Disappear
Yeah.
and I guess the very end of the show.
Yeah. But like, to sing the different harmonies, when you're singing together and especially with waving and you'll be found the different like transitions and walking across the stage and knowing where you have to be, and I can't imagine what it's like, knowing your line for this character but you're playing this character tonight or mixing it all up. It was so funny because I don't know if I think Sam was on tour with you guys for a bit, Sam Premack.
Briefly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So he did Evan Jared Connor. So we talked about the nightmare that was Sincerely Me because it's all
Wow.
the roles that he covered. And my favorite quote that we had, I don't remember who it was with. I think it was Val that actually said, Those poor boys that do the show
Poor
cover
boys.
that cover all three roles."
Triple covers, man, they have a different journey. I have a friend who covered like 5 or 6 different roles in The Lion King, and I was like,
Oh my God.
that's crazy. I mean, like it. I mean, I can't imagine those poor boys. They really do, and they are singing in the stratosphere a
Yeah.
whole show. It's crazy. Yeah, a friend of mine, Noah Kaiserman, was also an Evan Jared
Yeah.
Connor. So he's done. I just remember being like, gosh, that is like it'd be so easy. Once I'm on stage, I under like I'm in there. I'm in the zones for the girls, but um when I'm there have been a couple moments when I was off stage and I like walked to the wrong side of the stage for the wrong character's entrance. And I was like, what am I doing? What am
I
I
love
doing? But after that, once I'm on stage, we're good.
Yeah,
So
it's especially hard when you're in different houses and you have to know, like, because some have like a longer walk to stage right, or like some of them have
yeah,
like that alcove. So to like know and to have like your quick changes backstage to not have one set theater that you can learn is just crazy.
yeah, they're usually all in like the same. There are little changing gondolas in the back of the stage, but every once in a while we'll have like a very tight backstage and not enough time to cross over. So we'll have to like they'll be like, okay, so for this change, you're gonna be on this side in the little like alcove behind the
Yeah.
stairs to the musicians. They'll be like, I have to remember that now. So that's fun.
Oh, I love it. So looking back on everything you have achieved in this industry, what advice would you give your younger self entering the industry?
Say the words I would say, um, be kind, be grateful, and be patient. It's so easy to hear, but in practice, it is like absolutely vital. Remember, keep in mind, um, in the moments when you feel like you haven't achieved anything or don't have anything, to show for all your hard work, how proud younger you would be of where you are now, and how at one point this was everything you dreamed, but it's something that everybody is, but it really does become like crucial in those moments, where you are down on yourself or don't believe in yourself anymore. Be nice to everybody, it doesn't hurt, and it can only make you someone people want to work with. And there are always going to be people that want to cut you down or maybe don't want to see you succeed. But remember who you are. Remember that you don't have to be that kind of person, and no matter what people want to say about you, or the people that don't root for you, for every person that doesn't root for you, there are two people that do, and that's a nice thing to remember. And don't give up. There's no point in giving up. We only live once. Follow your dreams, follow your passions. It's all things that we've heard before, but they're all cliches. Are cliches for a reason. So
Yeah.
there you
I love that so much. Gillian, thank you so much for joining me on the Inspiration Show. You are beyond incredible, and it was such an honor to speak with you. This conversation will be one I will cherish for forever. Another pun. Thank you for inspiring me.
Of course. Thank you so much. It was so nice to talk to you. You have great questions.
Thank you. This was so special.